The time is upon us. We've heard his bellows from afar. Can you hear him? He's approaching. The time is upon us. We've heard his bellows from afar. Can you hear him? He's approaching. And what say you? Is that you? Hello there! The fog separates and he appears from the shadows. He transforms before our very eyes and walks upon the earth. He is the Crow.
Yep, that's right.
Yep, that's right. We are experiencing the joys of technological fun. Welcome to another episode of now the show called Eat Crow, and I believe that our tagline is going to be open wide. That's what I'm saying anyway. Yeah. Pause that for a moment. It's going to be a very special show anyway. Yeah.
Special like Jerry's Kids?
Pause that for a moment. It's going to be a very special show. Special like Jerry's Kids. In the studio with me is a longtime friend and compatriot, and he's been on the previous incarnation. That's true. This is Mr. Regent St. Clair.
I am he.
That's true. And then actually Skyping in from the UK, the one, the only Mr. Kelv Hellraiser. Kelv, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Awesome.
All right, so
we're bizarre. All right, so we are on a little bit of a limited time schedule because, well, Regent has someplace to be. Whatever.
But
you guys actually, Kelv, you and I have actually never met face to face.
That's correct.
Yeah,
we have never met.
But and you know, let's keep it that way. I've never met face to face.
That's correct.
Yeah,
we have never met.
But and you know, let's keep it that way. No, I'm kidding.
It's like the dating game.
Right.
We've never met.
Bachelor number one. Anyway. What kind of
you
music do you
guys
listen to,
actually,
and who's wearing more
years
women's
ago,
clothing? Anyway, but you guys actually met years ago. Well, let's get into a little bit of history on you, Calvin. I know that you've got a long-standing sort of music industry background. One of the main things, you were a writer for Kerrang! Magazine. Is that right?
Metal Forces. Everybody says Kerrang! That was the like the big magazine.
Right.
Metal Forces was the underground, real music magazine. Kerrang! Was just a bunch of bandwagon jumpers.
Gotcha. Tell us what you really think.
No, what you call now ambulance chasers.
You're right. Okay. Gotcha. Tell us what you really think.
No, what you call now ambulance chasers.
You're right. Okay.
You know, I was the underground glam, real. You know, them guys were into Metallica. You know, I was the underground glam and AOR stuff. Bernard Doe, you know, was the, and Dave Constable was Metallica, Slayer, everything. You know, every good band. Either one of us had a part in the end that came out mid '80s and early '80s, up until the end of the '80s.
And then it all went to shit.
Music died in. Music died in. Nirvana killed it. Yeah.
Which I always thought was interesting.
Which I always thought was interesting because, yeah, to an extent, Nirvana killed a lot of great music, and then Kurt Cobain killed himself. And was that? I mean, how perfectly ironic was that?
Yeah, and
that was the plan.
How perfectly ironic was that?
Yeah, and
that was the plan.
Died a horrific death.
I think that was the plan.
More than, even more so than the old 80s hard rock, because those bands can play gigs now.
Right.
There's like nothing left of that grunge scene at all. Nothing.
Pearl Jam is still out there.
Yeah,
but
one band.
Yes. No, I mean,
the only thing that's done great out of is Dave Grohl. You know.
Yeah, exactly right.
But he's gone on to like own the world. But everything else has been, you know, look at Alice in Chains. I mean, they're back. You know, I mean they're back, but you know, original singer, and it's original guys.
Yeah, right now they sound more like Alice and Lace. Not the Chains are not.
I'm not a big fan of Alice.
Now they sound more like Alice and Lace.
I don't like glam
Chains are not.
I'm not a big fan of Alice in Chains. They're not a bunch of ambulance chasers. They were a glam band. I don't like glam bands that go grunge.
Right.
Or go Pantera. There's another one. They were a great glam band and also a great heavy band, I suppose. They didn't quite have the look. Musically, they were a great glam band. They didn't quite have the look, I don't think.
I don't think I could ever imagine. I've never seen a picture of Dimebag looking glammy. I don't know.
But he looked the same, but with makeup.
You know what, Kelv, you know what that brings to mind? A video I once saw of Wizard. See, Kelv, you're gonna get that, right? You're gonna get that facial, that beard, then lots of makeup.
You know, Rob Zombie and all that.
Right, that facial, that beard, then lots of makeup.
You know, Rob Zombie and all that.
Right, no, but that's different. Rob Zombie's more like he fell down in a mud puddle and hit his face. But like Wizard, they were all done up, like, you know, like floozy.
Bret Michaels got stubble now, you know, stubble and makeup.
That's the except his stubble is that's the part from where he's losing his hair up on top. Why he always has that fucking edge.
Do you guys know?
Do you guys know? Do you guys know the story about why he wears that headband?
I just took it for
I
granted.
know everything about Bro Michaels. Absolutely. Penis size.
Well, cool. We can talk.
Pretty big.
Well, that's.
I now know you better than I ever wanted to know, Miguel.
I should do his autobiography.
I now know you better than I ever wanted to know, Miguel.
I should do his autobiography, the real one. Tell me what you think you know about his hair.
Another book I will not read.
Okay, yeah, go on. Tell me what you think you know about his hair.
Bad implants was what I'd heard is that he was like he was balding and he got plugs and plugs gone bad is what that was.
I mean, I think
and so
there was something where he
looks
was
bad.
actually
I mean, I think there was something where he was actually in the hospital and he still wouldn't let them take the headband off
I
of
know
him.
about that.
Yeah,
I know about that. But the thing is, if he had a full head of hair, he wouldn't wear a headband all the
Right.
time. But I don't know what he's got. Nobody knows. No one's seen him without it for years.
I think it's been
To be honest, he's made what he's got. Nobody knows. No one's seen him without it for years.
I think it's been
To be honest, he's made such an issue of it covering it up. I don't think anybody would have ever asked if he had just, just taken it off and had whatever he's got on there.
Right.
It wouldn't have looked real. No one would have said a hair, but I don't think.
I would have.
He's getting bad advice from the people around him. That's for sure.
Shocking,
The two of
frankly.
you met years ago.
So the two of you met years ago over across the
Shades
pond.
Records with Shades Records with he came over with Bill Burkhardt from Record Exchange Walnut Creek.
Yes, that's correct. Good memory.
Give me a minute. I'll get the address and the phone number. Bill's personal home line. Give me a minute. I'll get the address and the phone number. Bill's personal home line. His wife's name.
All I can tell you is it was on North Main Street. But God,
I never knew that stuff, otherwise I'd be telling you
The
it.
band was Castle Black.
And at the time the band was Castle Black. And Kelv, how did you ever hear Castle Black? How'd that happen?
Okay, Bill bought a tape first. He said it's a glam band. So I hyped up Region as the next San Francisco's answer to Kerry Doll.
Okay.
I mean, it looks quite a lot different when I've seen him.
perhaps you might have wanted to wait on that description until you met me.
And he looked a bit different. He had hair extensions when I met him, and he looked the part. He looked a bit different. He had hair extensions when I met him, and he looked the part, And I met Kev Chives. He came with him. I thought Kev Mueller. That's it. Kev Chives.
By the way, just let me interject. I don't know if you know this or not, but Kev Mueller has been for many years a producer on the CBS television program The Amazing Race. Are you familiar with that show?
It's
been on for
just too many American judges. I can't keep up.
It's been on for I think 10 years.
Yeah,
It's
it's
huge.
a huge reality show.
CBS. It's one of the. It was back when there only was Survivor and The Amazing Race. There was only those two shows like that.
He still works on it.
Oh yeah, totally. Right now, he's full blown producer on that show. Yeah.
I didn't know that. There you go. So anyway, Bill gave me a tape.
Full blown producer on that
Bill
show.
brought Region. I didn't know that. There you go. So anyway, Bill gave me a tape. Then I think Bill brought Region and Kev over. I still have the pictures of us in a hotel somewhere.
Forward those, please.
They're not those kinds of pictures.
Regardless, I want to see him anyway.
Pretty lame.
I'm
standing on a box next to Region.
That'd be a great thing.
I'm standing on a box next to Region.
That'd be a great thing. Here's what rock and roll really looks like.
So, clearly, we're all sort of fans.
We're all sort of fans of the genre of glam. Who's everybody's favorite glam band of all time, other than ones we've played in?
What do you think, Kel?
Ruby Slippers is mine, obviously.
There you go. A classic.
Not
What do you think,
everybody
Kel?
likes them. Ruby Slippers is
Yeah,
mine. They're
no,
not really
there
heavy
you go.
metal glam.
A classic.
Not everybody likes them.
Yeah,
They're
no,
not
it's-
really heavy metal glam.
No, I mean they're you can listen to them and get a cavity.
In terms of, I wouldn't
they're
like
that
music.
sugar.
I'm glad they didn't get big because I wouldn't like the music anymore if they'd have got big. In terms of that, I'm not glad they didn't get big because they didn't get any money.
The music still sound, because I don't.
I mean, to me, the music still sounds, because I don't hear it that much, and I just play it when I want to hear it. Whereas Poison just got overplayed.
But
Right.
unfortunately,
Unfortunately, the same songs, which is the hits,
Right.
not the songs that I actually like a lot. Yes, they don't get played that much.
Can I just say one thing? Tell me if you agree with me on this. With me on this, Kel.
They don't get played that much.
Well, can I just say one thing? Tell me if you agree with me on this. With me on this, Kel. A lot of the sort of trend nowadays with bands who are making music that are newer bands, it's all about the song. They don't even necessarily make an album or a CD. They just make a song song, because that's all. That's the focus now. And I don't know about you, but some of my favorite songs by some of my favorite bands were album tracks that were never singles.
I saw Prince.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
And I saw Prince, a clip of Prince recently on Arsenio Hall show. And
Yeah,
Prince
I
was
saw that.
Prince when he was talking about like putting the songs together to make an album,
And how they,
he won't release a CD until he's got like the 10 songs put together the right way and the whole thing. And he won't release a CD until he's got like the 10 songs put together the right way and the whole thing. And he was talking about that. And it really made sense to me because I mean to me it's all about the whole thing, the whole group of songs. Do you feel that way?
To be honest, Prince is the only rock star left. He is. He's still like he's got the mystique. He's got the look. He's got the music. He's the real package. He cares about the fans.
Yeah.
Everyone else has just kind of died off.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And they follow fashion and move along with everything else. Prince just does his own thing and doesn't care.
True.
You know. But I mean, it has changed a hell of a lot. I was speaking to Sally Cato from the band Smash Gladys today.
Oh wow, is she still doing music?
She was kind of saying how great it is now. The artists are fighting back. The record companies are all gone.
Right.
She was kind of saying how great it is now. The artists are fighting back. The record companies are all gone.
Right.
And they're all, everything they earn. I don't necessarily totally agree that, still you're still going to get shafted with the internet.
Mm-hmm. That's
But
what
I mean,
Prince
you're
was saying
more in
that too,
control
yeah.
of your career, but unfortunately, you will not have a long career now. Now it's just about nostalgia if you're an old band. You're not going to get
But wait a minute, is there a chart?
But wait a minute, is there a chart?
I wasn't aware there was.
I wasn't aware there was a
They don't
chart
have
anymore.
singles anymore.
Why does Billboard even? Does Billboard still exist? And if so, why?
No, it exists.
it does.
It's 3 pages long.
All
ads. No,
I
no,
looked
two
it up
of it
to
is
see
ads.
where Bret Michaels' album is still too. It does still exist.
Long.
I didn't even know.
All
that.
ads.
No, no,
I looked
two
it
of
up
it
to
is
see
ads.
where
No
Bret
more
Michaels'
record
album is still
stores
too.
anymore.
It does still
I wonder
exist.
where
I
you
didn't
would
even
ever
know
pick
that
up a
because
copy of
since
that.
there's no more
Wonder where
record
it exists.
stores anymore, I wonder where you would ever even pick up a copy of
newsstands.
Billboard
There's
if
that
it
famous
existed.
newsstand in I don't know. Newsstands. There's that famous newsstand in L. Well, there must be a few newsstands in LA. We used to pick up all the magazines and stuff.
Used to be, but those are kind of gone too.
Yeah.
Oh, everything's gone. Tower Records. I can't believe that's gone.
Yeah, everything's gone, man.
We
And
have
also,
no record stores here. None.
We had,
We got probably a handful in the whole country.
I mean, there are some mom and pop record stores left.
Amoeba.
And there's of course Amoeba.
Yeah, there's Amoeba.
Which is
Airplane.
like an
that's the
airplane
original.
hanger.
What's Rockaway Records still going? I remember that
I
one.
think it is.
That one's still there, and there's
Yeah.
in fact
Airplane
the original.
hanger.
What's
It's
Rockaway
huge.
Records still going? I remember that
I
one.
think
Yep,
it is.
that one's still there, and there's
Yeah.
in
Isn't it
fact
interesting?
I actually
Aaron's on Melrose.
sold a bunch of my records.
I think
to
Aaron's
think
is
that's
gone.
Aaron's
But isn't it interesting?
Aaron's on Melrose. Is that gone?
I think Aaron's
I think
is
that's
gone.
Aaron's is
Yeah.
gone.
Wow, Melrose had about 3 stores. That was amazing. Store.
Yeah, but see, the only
Melrose
stores
had about 3 stores altogether. Record traders and all these
no more.
ones.
There's no more record stores on
So let's
on
do
Melrose.
this. We've
That's
been
a
talking
shame,
about,
isn't
glam So let's do this. We've been talking about glam music. Let's let's play a Ruby Slippers track so that at least we can enjoy it. Although in fact, Kel, I was chatting with you the other day. I have a bit of a personal bias against some of those guys, and we can talk about that later. Some personal bias against some of those guys, and we can talk about that later. Some people who were in that band.
So we're gonna do this is a
fucking
track.
dicks.
This is
But hey, they made some decent music. So we're gonna do this is a track. This is one of the later versions of the band with Nigel Itzen singing. He had been the drummer, and this is a track called Hollywood Suicide, which I think describes most careers that happen in Hollywood. So how perfect is that? So everybody sit back, stay tuned, enjoy this. Again, Ruby Slippers, Hollywood Suicide.
I think this is
This is a demo. I think this is a demo.
Better
And that was Ruby Slippers with Hollywood Suicide.
Still sounds great to me.
Thoughts?
Still sounds great to me.
About sort of the glam.
So, what do you guys think it is about sort of the glam scene, the glam style of music that I know that for myself, I always liked that there was a heaviness to it, there was a trashiness to it, but there was still a great pop sensibility to it. And that is, I think, what set it apart as compared to, say, like thrash or just a lot of other kinds of sort of heavier rock music. What is it about glam thrash or just a lot of other kinds of sort of heavier rock music? What is it about glam that and of course the image and wearing shoes like that?
I don't know.
What is it that you guys liked about it?
Right.
And it just kind of went crazier. I don't know. I grew up on Sweet,
right?
And it just kind of went crazier. For sure. Sweet was more musical than any of the glam bands from LA. That's for sure.
Agreed.
But all of the
bands
bands back then, Slade and all the British bands, T-Rex, Wizard, those guys, they were music first, the image got added. Whereas I think the LA bands was image first, and then let's do the music.
Right,
I think.
that's true.
Not to say that they were crap or anything, but some were. Definitely.
Yes, some were.
But no, you're
Looking
right.
back, you can see the mistakes that were made. Definitely.
Yes, some were.
But no, you're
Looking
right.
back, you can see the mistakes that were made. Definitely.
Yeah.
Two record companies, stupid, signing every band.
Sort of like a weird.
Yeah.
It was a mistake.
Exactly. I mean, and what sort of like a weird attempt at a power grab. It's like, let's just grab all of them. Some of them will hit, some of them won't. We'll eventually make money.
And then LA's dried up. Let's go Tennessee and get three blonde guys. What are they called? I forgot their name. But they weren't very good. The music was weak.
Nelson? Were you thinking of? Was it Nelson? Were you thinking of?
No, not Nelson. That's two blonde guys.
Yeah.
Four blonde guys. What were they called? I forgot their name.
Four blonde guys.
They were
What's
out
the name
of
of
like
the band?
Tennessee.
I don't know.
And they had two albums and they were just weak. Like Tennessee. And they had two albums and they were just weak.
So that's an issue. So is there?
At the time, I probably said they were great.
So that's an issue. So are any bands from those eras that like there was a time you're going, God, these guys are great, and you went back and listened and went, no, these guys
I
were
don't know. Because to be honest, I'm not sure if I was. I don't know. Because to be honest, I'm not sure if I was. Although I was listening to that kind of music, I was also listening to other kinds of music at the same time. Because I worked in that record store. To be honest, hearing that all day, you want to get away from it.
Right, sure.
But I was listening. So now I hear it and it sounds like new because I stopped playing it for a while. But the bands I'm talking about, not Lord Tracy so much. Bands like that. Every Mother's Nightmare. That's it. Skid Row, Fake.
Right.
Tracy so much. Bands like that. Every Mother's Nightmare. That's it. Skid Row, Fake.
Right, right. I remember.
Maybe Skid Row's not as good as I thought they were. I'm not sure. I like Sebastian. I think the first
that guy, he definitely a lot of attitude, great singer.
I think the first album was really cool, American hard rock, but the others were sounding more like Iron Maiden. Were a bit confused,
right?
And they kind of were a bit confused. But Sebastian seemed like a hired gun. He never got on with him.
Yeah, no, I mean, since I know that there's still a rift between them, and he's off doing what he's doing, and they're sort of like doing Skid Row light with a different singer, and they talk about reuniting.
Is his name Solinger? Johnny Solinger or something? I mean, Sebastian's by himself doing whatever he does. Solinger?
Talking a lot.
Johnny Solinger or something?
Yeah.
But, I mean,
No
Sebastian's
You
by
know,
himself
I
doing
totally
whatever he
agree
does.
with you, Kelv.
Talking a lot.
I think
Yeah.
for our
You know,
generation,
I totally agree with you, Kelv.
I think it goes back
I
to
think
Sweet. I think Sweet is the
for
starting
our
point
generation,
for all
you and
of
me,
us, because
I think
we
it goes
were-
back to Sweet. I
we
think
were
Sweet is the
kids,
starting point
and
for all of us because
I
we were
think that
we were
when,
kids
when
and
Raspberries
I
came
think
out
that
with
when
Go All the Way
when the
With,
Raspberries
guys had different
came
stuff.
out with Go All the Way With,
Yeah, you guys had
a
different
lot of
stuff.
people
Yeah.
would say
The
that's
Raspberries
the starting point is when the Raspberries came
I
out
was
with Go All the
really
Way.
young when that came out.
I was
when
really
Sweet
young when that came out, but when Sweet
with
came out
Action,
with
even with Little Willie,
Action, even with Little
and
Willie
stuff, that Willie
and
was
stuff,
the
that Willie was the first
first
charting single they ever had in America. And then it's Fox on the Run and Ballroom Blitz, charting single they ever had in America. And then it's Fox on the Run and Ballroom Blitz and all this stuff. And as a little kid, I'm going, this is weird. This is pop music on the AM radio, but it's really tough. The guitars are tough, and the singer is really just kicking it in the head. And I go, I've never heard pop music that was tough like this before.
Yeah, I remember the first time hearing Ballroom Blitz on the radio and just going, what was that, and where do I get more of it?
I mean, I can remember being 12 years old in 6th grade, and I was on the basketball team at my school, and we were going to, my coach was taking us to a basketball game to see the Warriors, and we're all like 20 kids piled into a station wagon, and he's blasting the AM radio, and it's like sweet. And we're all like 20 kids piled into a station wagon, and he's blasting the AM radio, and it's like sweet on the radio, and we're just like completely rocking out. And I'm just going,
Why is it like,
how come like pop music isn't like this? Why isn't all pop music like this? Why is it like, Olivia Newton-John and Helen Reddy and the Carpenters, which by the way I love all of them, and I've stolen mercilessly from all of them. Yeah, totally. But I go, there needs to
Back
be
then,
more
the
stuff like
value
this.
of a single
Just one
to
song.
a person was just incredible. Just one song.
Sure.
You didn't need an album. You need one song. You play again, again, again. That feeling. I don't know if that's just when you're young. It just never comes back from that first time.
Now
Now an album means nothing. So
Right, exactly.
I get a single and play it to death. An album means nothing. So
Right, exactly.
I get a single and play it to death. 100 and a B-side, hundreds of songs. I get one album that lasts 6 months, a year.
Totally.
Now
You
you
wear
get
that
10
thing
albums a day
out.
off the internet, or more if you want.
Yeah, you can get bootlegs, you can get rehearsal perform. I mean, it's like
I was just telling Brian before we got on the air today, and I don't know if you know this or not, Kel.
There's a
But
website.
for some time now, there's a website that's like a big website that sells ringtones.
A long time ago, I discovered you
and
could
a long time
buy
ago, I
a
discovered you can buy a ringtone of my song "Fuck Off, I Don't Want to Dance." I didn't know you could buy that ringtone, but I'm like, where did they even get that? This is years ago. This was available. It made me think, where did they even get this to make this ringtone? But okay,
You know what?
get that. This is years ago. This was available. It made me think, where did they even get this to make this ringtone? But okay.
You know what? I think since you've mentioned it, I think we need to play "Fuck Off, I Don't Want to Dance." I think it deserves some airplay. So we're gonna slide into that track and come back and chat more. We've got Mr. Regent St. Clair in the studio and Skyping in from the UK, Mr. Kelv Hellraiser, right here on Eat Crow, which is not just a suggestion, a demand.
This is fuck off.
This is "Fuck Off, I Don't Want to Dance."
Let me get one nose. Fuck off, I don't wanna dance. Fuck off, I don't wanna. Fuck off, I don't wanna dance. Fuck off, I don't wanna dance. Fuck off, I don't wanna dance. With you, baby. Fuck off, I don't wanna dance.
there's that. So there's that.
That was "Fuck Off, I Don't Want to Dance," which is the song that I listened to going into my last divorce. So,
That's
"Fuck Off,
Regent
I Don't Want to
singing.
Dance,"
That
which
was
is the
me
song that
singing.
I listened to going
How
into
come
my
I've
last
never
divorce.
heard that
So,
song?
Well, that's a monster.
That's Regent singing, wasn't it?
That
right.
was me singing. Listen,
How come I've never heard that song before?
Well, that's a Monster Island song.
I
Do you
guess
have
I
the
must have
Bastard
heard it
Sons of
then.
Babylon
You've
tape with like 13, 14 songs?
Yeah, I guess I must have heard it then.
Well, you got the box set, don't
I
you?
have got the box set, yeah. Yeah.
Well, you should
No,
check it
somewhere. Yeah, I have got the box
Listen,
set, yeah.
I want to bring
Somewhere.
Listen, I want to bring something up to you guys. I only got a couple more minutes before I got to split, but I want to throw this out at you guys.
In 1980,
in 1980,
one or two, I'm trying to remember, 81
one or two, I'm trying to remember,
I was
81 or
doing
82.
a-
I was doing
basically a power pop band.
basically a power pop
It was called
band back
Escort
then. It was called
Service.
Escort
And,
Service,
and
we were managed
by
Tony Isabella, who worked for Bill Graham, and we were managed
eventually
by
back then she
Tony
may have
Isabella,
just-
who
I think she was
worked for
starting
Bill
out
Graham
with Bill
Presents.
Graham.
I think she did eventually.
there was a club
Back then
called
she may have
the
just,
Waldorf.
I think she was starting out with Bill
And
Graham.
she was
and
heavily involved
there
with
was a
that.
club
The
called
old
the
Waldorf.
Waldorf.
I actually
And she
one
was
of the
really
first
involved with
jobs
that.
The old Waldorf. Here's I actually one of my first jobs. I was
Both
actually
good and
a
bad.
janitor
Yeah.
at the old.
There you
Waldorf.
go. Both good and bad.
Yeah. No, man. That's like in high school taking the bus. I wanted to be involved in the scene so bad. I was willing to like do that.
I hear
A
you.
lot of
It's good
big,
times.
big
Those were good
bands I
times.
saw
A
there
lot
when
of
they were
big,
very
big
little.
bands I saw there when they were very little. I saw Metallica play there. Within the first like 6 months of their existence and everything.
But anyway,
so Tony said to my band, who she was kind of managing, existence and everything. But anyway, so Tony said to my band, who she was kind of managing, look, I want you guys to come down tonight to see this band. I'll put you on the list. The whole band. You guys have to see this band. They have to be seen to be believed. They're a new band. They've done their own record. It's an independent thing. They're called Motley Crue. You guys have got to see this band. They're unbelievable. So my band went down there.
But I was also
And in my band in Escort Service, I was the drummer, but I was also the principal songwriter. And we all went down to see this band.
They were so
and
funny.
they were so
really
funny.
Funny.
They were really
Tommy
funny.
spent most
Like
of the
Tommy
time
just spent
turning
most of the
around,
time turning around, pulling his pants
ass.
down, showing us his ass.
And Nicky's
And Nicky's pants were ripped up the middle,
So his
dick and nuts kept falling out. He would move his bass around and like there's his nuts, the middle.
And like
So his like
you
dick and
know,
nuts
and
kept
Vince was
falling
doing
out.
everything he could
He
to
would
stay
move his bass
standing
around and
up.
like there's his nuts.
Near
And
the
like and Vince was
And
doing
they
everything he
were-
could to
they
stay
were
standing
really
up
like a punk
near the
band.
mic.
They were really like
and
a punk
they
band
were
I used
they
to
were
be,
really
play with
like a
back in
punk
the
band.
scene.
They were really like a lot of punk
Yeah,
bands
they
I
were-
used
they were
to
heavy
play with back in the punk scene.
But really
Yeah, they were heavy and the music was kind of heavy,
And
but
Mick was over
really
there
the
basically
feeling was like
looking
they were a
like,
punk
"I'm gonna
band.
eat your
And Mick was over there basically looking like, I'm gonna eat
And
your
he's
fucking
never
heart,
changed.
you know.
He's still that
And he's
same
never changed.
unhappy,
He's still that same
unpleasant guy.
unhappy,
He's
unpleasant
probably pretty
looking
mellow.
guy. He's
So
probably
we
pretty
watched
mellow
the
guy.
show, and then
So
they
we
came
watched
back
the
for
show,
their
and then they
encore,
came back
and
for
they
their
did
encore, and they did
Department
Department
of
of
Youth
Youth by Alice Cooper, and
that
that night changed my life. I just go, you know, if you can do hard music. And that night changed my life. I just go, you know, if you can do hard music with that kind of like punky attitude, well, then I can do this. I would be willing to do this. And I quit my band immediately.
And I learned how to play.
And I bought a guitar, and I learned how to play. And within 3 months, I put Castle Black together.
Wow.
And because I thought you can do music that's fun
And I think it was
and
without
still
knowing it,
tough. And I think it was without knowing it, I was harkening back to the sweet thing,
And
trying
it's
to do something like that.
interesting to me
And it's interesting to me because just a couple weeks
I read a
ago,
long interview
I read a
with Nicky,
long interview with Nicky,
and he was
saying,
and he had never
heard him say the same thing, that they approached it like a lot of the punk bands.
the DIY.
And I had never heard him
We're just gonna
say
make
it,
a
the same
freaking
thing,
record.
that they
You know,
approached it
somebody's got
like
like
a lot of
a
the
couple
punk
grand, we're
bands,
just
the
gonna make
DIY kind of like, we're just going to make a freaking
you know,
record.
and throw it
You know,
out.
somebody's got like a couple grand, we're just
And
going to
they
make a
didn't
record.
live anywhere,
You know, and
it
throw
was
it out
like-
there. Who cares?
They didn't have
really.
like a
and they didn't live
pot to piss in. It was
anywhere.
like,
It was like they didn't
was
have like a
just
pot to piss
very
in. They're just
off
like
the cuff, very.
It was
I mean,
just
he
very
talks
off the
in
cuff,
years afterward,
very.
he talked like
I mean,
it
he
was the
talks
master
in years afterward. He would talk
He
like
had
it was
the
the
master plan, but I'm telling you, back in those days, there was no master plan.
Yeah, no, George Lucas only planned on making one Star Wars,
exactly.
okay?
But I think that was, and that really moved me just to see this band coming out with like they were more nutty than they were.
But if you look back
scary.
at it and look at that album cover,
Yeah.
and at the time it came out, they should have taken over the world instantly with
Well,
that look
they
alone.
did eventually.
It's like nobody looked like that, but it took them a while.
Yeah, a little, but their rise was pretty fast. I mean, between that show that I saw and them opening for Kiss on tour was like a year, and then the
Okay.
next thing you know, they're headlining.
Right.
You know, and the album was picked up by Elektra and what have you. But the thing was that it changed my life to see them, And so you can do music like that, you know? I mean, really, let's face it. When Crue started out, they were kind of a hard pop band.
Right.
You know?
No, you go back and listen to that first record. I mean, it's miles away from Dr. Feelgood, and it's certainly much more, like Sweet, like, just total,
Nikki Sixx is a big Sweet fan. I know he used to talk. He don't mention them now, but he did in the early days.
That's cool. It's cool that he would, say where it came from. I've never been shy about saying where my stuff
I wrote
comes
to him when that first album came out. He never replied.
Shocking.
I said I
frankly.
can do you some Sweet demos and B-sides, and he didn't reply. So he wasn't that big a fan.
Well, to be fair, I mean, who knows if any mail would ever get to him? It's like one day
that's true.
one day he lives in that gutter, the next day he lives in that gutter, the next day he lives in that bathroom.
The thing that was very disappointing about Motley Crue was Vince Neil's voice. He just could not reproduce what he sang on them records.
Yeah.
That's
Not even close.
Yeah. I
no,
know.
that's very true. But how true is that? I mean, how many bands do you check out and it's like, well,
He's right. Put it like he's attempting to be Rick Emmett out of Triumph.
No,
and
but
he's
Rick
playing
Emmett
it
Rick
really
Emmett can
bad.
hit those notes though.
yeah,
I think
Rick Emmett's fantastic.
he can
you
really
know.
hit the notes. But, the thing is, here's what's weird about that, and I totally agree with you, and I think a lot of people would agree with what you just said about his singing and his voice. However, remember when he was not in Crue for a little while, for like 10 seconds?
Yeah, that was great.
And they
That
brought
was better than
John
Motley Crue. To
Corabi
be
in
honest,
there.
his solo stuff is better than Motley Crue.
Well, yeah, but they brought Corabi in there, who is a much better singer, technically.
Oh hell, yeah.
And then, but
Well, I
you know
didn't
what?
like it.
Yeah, but see, nobody liked it.
See, I don't remember much of the rest of the record, but I always thought that the song "Hooligan's Holiday," one of my favorite Crue songs. That song is fucking awesome.
No, there's a lot of good stuff. I don't fault them for it. And, I mean, so here we all are. You, me, Brian, all these people. God, Vince can't sing, man. Vince just can't sing. And then you got to get somebody else. And then you get somebody else, and we all go, you need to get Vince back.
But, yeah, he's a star.
Because you know what?
He's got
because
something, just like Bret Michaels has,
It works.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have done as well as he had. He's got something.
No, but the four of them together is
Yeah, it's
something
a show.
special. I mean, you can even say the same thing. I would easily say the same thing about Kiss. Look, Ace Frehley is not a great lead guitar player, okay? And Peter Criss is not a great drummer. Gene does some good stuff on the bass, but really, Ace and Peter, they're not great at what they do. And you've got Tommy and Eric in the band now, and they just nail it note for note every night, and that's fine. Okay,
But it's not Ace and Peter.
It's fine. But when I saw them for the first gig unannounced, when they did the reunion tour, and it was at a weenie roast at the KRQR weenie roast.
Right.
And I'm telling you, when I got to that show, and we had like 8th row or something, the crowd was full of rock stars. I mean, you couldn't like turn around without bumping into like Michael Anthony or Sebastian Bach or some other huge rock star. We're all there because we want to see the four guys back together again. And I'm telling you, I was so close to the stage. Gene spent most of the show giving Ace the "you better not fuck this up" look. And Ace is just looking back at him going, "Hey, come lighten up, man." And Gene's going, "Do not fuck this up."
Chill out, Carly.
Yeah, totally. And then of course the fireworks tipped over and shot into the crowd.
Oh God.
To which
Wow.
Paul said, "I don't think that's supposed to do that." And everybody around us ran away because the seats are burning. But me and my friends are all, "No, we're staying right the fuck here." And they're going, get out, it's on fire, it's gonna burn. No, we'll stay right here. But no, the whole show, Gene was just like, just waiting for Ace to do some stupid fucking thing. But he did fine. But, that's the thing is, I would rather, and I bet you guys would agree, I would rather see Kiss with the four original guys, even though Peter and Ace suck kind of not great, let's just say it nice. They're not great musicians. I'd still rather see that chemistry happening on stage than Gene and Paul and two guys playing perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the recent incarnation, and the show's great. The lights, I mean, everything. It's great, but there's something fake about it. There's just something. The chemistry is not there, and even when you've got, it's like Tommy Thayer, at least the show, I mean, he was like literally relegated to like stay in this little corner of the stage and don't you dare come out of it. I've seen some stuff and it looks like that's been somewhat
Established.
yeah, but it was like you're going, that was good, but it was.
No, he does a fine job,
Yeah.
and Eric does a fine job. They're fine, but on top of that, you've got Gene. I don't know when the last time you saw Kiss play, but when I took Max, when I took my son, he was 8, and we were really close to the stage in front of Gene, and Gene kept making this funny face all throughout the concert, like. I'll do it for Brian right now because I don't know how to describe Brian. I'll do it. You describe it to Kelv. Ready?
All right.
Okay, like this.
It's like he's got really dry lips. or you know what, like kind of the face that an old guy makes when he doesn't have his teeth
dentures in.
Yeah,
That's what he kept doing.
Oh, I know that face. Yeah,
He
I know
kept
it.
going up and looking at us and moved like he's an old man with no dentures in.
Yeah, I know
And,
that.
and at
I
first
know
it was
that
kind of
face well. Yeah.
funny, but then it occurred to me like, wow, this is really sad. I mean, it's funny because when Marilyn Manson now gets up on stage and puts his arms out and does the wagging his arm thing like on the cross, and he's making fun of himself now. That's okay with me, but for some reason, Gene going, look at me, I'm an old man. I just felt really sorry for him.
Yeah. I'd like to actually see them have a farewell tour and not the continuing one. I love the band, and I got into music because of them, but it's wearing thin.
Well, it needs to stop now, and I'm sure, Kelv, I'm sure you know what's been going on with the whole Rock and Roll
Hall of Fame thing.
How they said we'd like the band to perform with the original members, and Gene and Paul said absolutely not. And I don't know if you guys have read any of the books, the ones by Gene or the one by Ace or
I've
Peter's.
got Peter Chris's. I got that.
Did you
and
read
I've had
Peter's
Ace
book?
Frehley's as well.
But I've read them all.
I haven't read Gene. Has Paul got a book?
Well, Paul
just
just brought a copy of the book over to Gene's house the other day. I read, and Gene said, "You want to hang out?" And Paul's like, "No."
Do Paul and Gene even get on?
Yeah, because Paul is Gene's only friend. You realize that, right? Gene doesn't have any friends. None except Paul. And Paul's like a kind of a regular guy, and Paul has friends and kids and a wife, and he's pretty much a regular guy. But Gene, all he has are people that can either do something for him or have done something for him. And so he has no genuine friends. But reading all those books, I don't know. You said you read Peter's book recently, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In bits and parts.
It's
yeah.
it's interesting.
I actually worked for Peter Chris's record company for a while.
Oh wow!
In not his company, the company he was on was called TNT Records. They signed Joey C. Jones at Sweet Savage.
Okay.
A couple of guys that have an LA band, Wildside, their second album. But he was slagging the company off.
Right.
And saying, I went to there and had thousands of boxes of my CDs there. And they said, yeah, we're getting on it. And he said it wasn't, nothing happened.
Well,
but nothing was happening with anybody in the middle of the 90s.
Well, the thing is
Well,
that,
I mean,
when he's not in
go on.
Kiss anymore, it's not like Ace. Ace actually had a career beyond Kiss. And after
he
Kiss.
made a band and he did something with it.
But unfortunately for Peter, he just sort of didn't. And the music that he was making just was not that good. A lot of the stuff Ace made after Kiss was kind of good.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
Peter's, it just wasn't enough like Kiss to carry him, But the thing I'm saying is that in Peter's book and in Ace's book too, it's weird because they totally they don't shy away from saying, yeah, I did that stupid shit. I completely did it. I totally, I gave the gun to the baby. I totally did that. I did it every fucking day of my life. And that was bad, but I did that. And so the thing is, when you hear Gene and Paul saying, no, we're not going to do that. I totally get it. I totally understand. Sometimes there's just so much bad. I mean, like the stories about when they're playing like Rock in Brazil or something before like 1 billion people, and they're about to go on in 5 minutes, and Gene gets a call from Ace going, "Hey, I didn't get on the plane."
Right.
Hey, isn't that funny? No, you know what? That's really not very funny, Ace. Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. So get the roadie into the makeup, And it's like, how many times does that stuff have to happen where you go, I'm not going to do this anymore with you? And I totally get it. I mean, they're going to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that's great, and they should be. But Ace and Peter are kind of bent out of shape about the fact that they can't go accept it with them.
But Journey was in there. They had everybody. You know,
it's true, no, I mean,
original
Journey,
guy on rhythm guitar, Robert Fleischman, who was in it.
Right.
Really,
And that's what they should have done with Kiss. They should have done that.
I mean, they did the same thing with the Grateful Dead. What was it, like 28
Yeah.
people up on stage or
Yeah.
something? Yeah, they should have just, figured something out, get everybody up there. They
Steve
all had
Perry gets on a lot worse with the rest of Journey than Gene and Peter
Do you,
Criss.
no, but no, do you really think
and
that?
Ace Frehley get on with the other two
You
guys.
really, do you really believe that
they don't
that
talk
Perry
or
gets
anything?
on? Well, yeah, but it's no, don't talk or anything. The stuff with Ace and Peter and Gene and Paul, that's beyond don't talk.
It's like, don't
That's
get
like
fucking near me.
No, that's like I'm gonna come to your house and fucking hit you on the head with a fucking
Well,
barbell.
they said they were never friends. Well, I can't believe
Well,
that.
you know what?
I don't buy that.
Look, in the books, the way they all paint it was that in the early days, in the first,
Didn't Peter Criss form the band with them?
well,
It was. I mean, I always thought it was Gene and Paul. Then Peter came in, and then
then
like
Ace,
the last
I think-
edition was
yeah.
Ace, and he came in and was sort of like, oh, there it is.
when they were young and they were hungry, and it was the shitty old days. There was clearly some camaraderie, and there clearly was some like, hey, let's do this, and we're gonna make
Hey,
it.
kids,
and
let's put on a show.
My dad has a barn. Let's put on a show. That kind of attitude. It was there. It certainly was. But from those books, it does tell like how unpleasant it was to be touring in those days with those guys. How like Gene like never ever like he instead of after a show, taking a shower and putting on your regular clothes, he wouldn't shower or change his clothes.
Yeah, I read that. That was in Peter
Right.
Criss's book.
Yeah, and how like nasty that was. How really and how Peter had initially he was initially sharing a room with Gene, but Peter's like, I can't share a room with Gene. So he switched, I guess, and then I'm not sure who shared with Gene. I think it was Ace. But Ace was so completely bombed out of his mind all the time.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. But
Yeah.
those were the fun days. Those were like the hey, let's we can do a show, that kind of stuff, and it was fun. But I think the way that they all portrayed it is that once there started to be money involved, like real big money and real
Yeah,
big fame,
that's when they started
everything went to
lording
hell.
over the other two.
Yeah, then it became Gene and Paul against
Mm-hmm.
Ace and Peter.
So real quick, because we're running a little short on time, I would like to play a couple more tracks, but I do have a question. Anybody like anybody new musically out there? Are you guys hearing anything that you go, wow, this is actually really fucking good?
Well, I'll say somebody. I know you guys are gonna kill me. Okay, I'm getting ready. You guys are gonna hear the knives unsheathing. Me and my son, we both love Skrillex. We like Skrill a lot, and mostly because
I am no longer
mostly
your friend.
because a mutual friend of mine and Brian's, who's worked with my band before, named Lee Roderick, who's actually going to be directing a video for us really soon. He turned me on to a video by Skrill a couple years ago for, I think it's called First of the Year. And it's a really cool video about a child molester who follows a little girl into an abandoned building, thinking that he's going to basically have his way with her, little girl. But the little girl, turns out, has access to a monster who she turns onto the guy, and the monster completely annihilates the guy. And that really, I thought that was really cool. And
That
so I
sounds like
listened
a great video. It'd be better if it had other music
I know,
on it.
other than like video game music. But the thing
That
is,
sounds like Candy Apple Black. you know?
Right. There you go.
It's exactly.
It does. But in any case, I opened our eyes to it, and I like it a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't think it's amazing, great music, but I think it's a lot of fun. That's what I have to say about that.
I can't think of any. There's some okay music out there, and there's some resurgence of new stuff, of old stuff that's doing. But I can't think of anything that is as good as back then. You know.
Right. I
You know,
will.
there's certain artists, but I can't even. I hear a song and I go, "That's good," but I can't, and then they're gone.
And Kelvin
You know.
goes, that's good.
I would say there's it's not even necessarily a band, it's more of a duo called Fantagram that I think is fucking great. And then I just heard yesterday, I heard a new band called Big Data. And
Okay.
heard them on
You
KR-
guys are the new journalists. I don't know any of this.
This is just, I mean,
Should
this
start
is
Metal Forces again.
just, let's
Is it hard rock or pop or what?
it's pop. I mean, actually, in terms of new hard rock, that's one of the things that I think that kills me the most is that most of the new hard rock stuff doesn't sound like new hard rock. It sounds like, oh, I've heard this before hard
It's
rock.
by numbers.
Yeah,
It's like,
and it's
it's like they've copied the look and
Yep.
they've got a certain songwriting style and they have it's not their own.
yeah, it just sounds like that is one of the best Metallica cover bands I've. Oh wait, that's not a cover. I mean, Avenged Sevenfold sounds like Metallica by the numbers, like you say. It's like they sat down with the Black Album and a compass and a protractor and said, "Let's make this again." I mean, and there's just so many. I was DJing this show called Sunset Island Music that had stuff being sent from around the globe, literally. And I would hear stuff from all these other places. It sounded like the same shit that I've heard 100 times before. It was good, but it wasn't new. And I think that's what kills me about what's going on in hard rock right now. So a lot of the stuff that I'm hearing that I actually think sounds great.
But that's why you think it sounds great.
Is because
It sounds like the old stuff.
no, I mean like
Everybody listens to old stuff now, and that's it.
that's which is not necessarily a bad thing because our band is old stuff.
Well, no, it's funny. I'm a comedian in the car driving home after picking Max up, and a song will come on the radio on his station that he has on this in the car, and he'll look at me and go, "You like that, huh?" And I'll go, "Yeah. How did you know that?" He goes, "'Cause I know." Because it's got some guitars in it, and it's kind of hard, and it's kind of a little bit like.
How old is he now?
He's 11 now. He'll be 12 in June. So, but he can pick that stuff.
I got a son named Brett Michael. I wonder where I got that name from. And he's going to be 13 next. He's 12 at the moment.
What does he like? What are two bands he likes?
He doesn't register music.
Not at all.
He likes. I think he likes Linkin Park.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Not a new band.
He knows who Brett Michaels is just about.
So wait a minute.
And he says he looks like you, me. He means. I said no, I look like him.
You haven't put a headband on him, have you?
I'm getting one right now.
All right, good.
Putting hair extensions in while we're doing the show.
Attaboy. Attaboy. Look, I got 2 seconds left before I got to walk out the door. But, Kelv, I got to finish that thought I was telling you about earlier. The guitarist who played on Babes in Toyland was David Chase. David Chase then changed his name to David Victor. And you know of David Victor and his solo stuff. He had a band called Velocity.
I didn't know that.
He had a band called Velocity. And
he's got solo albums. He's
exactly.
pretty good.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Max was little. It must have been 8 or 9 years ago. Because he lives in L.A. And we had lunch together, and he said, "Listen, I'm thinking of doing a kind of a show type of a band based on 70s pop music, and I'm going to call it the Mystery Machine after the van from Scooby-Doo." Right?
Okay, yeah, I know.
And
what
he
that is,
he wanted to do this thing. He said, "I want you to play drums in it." And I go, "Dude, I mean, like a 7 days a week job kind of a band." And I said, "Dude, I got the law firm thing. I got a kid. I can't be doing that kind of stuff." So he said, "I understand. And so he put together a little bit different kind of a thing called Bostyx, Bostyx, which I don't know if you know about this, Kel, but that's a kind of company. That's a company that makes office supplies in America. They make staplers and staple removers, but it's spelled Bostyx. And what they did is they do a tribute to Boston and Styx.
Wow.
They only do Boston and Styx music, but they do it really well. And so you see where I'm going with this story? Because, Tom Scholz became aware of Dave. And because of
he's singing. He's singing in Boston.
He's in Boston now, not the city, the band. Okay, my old lead guitar player is in the real Boston now because he did a Boston cover band.
See, I actually I have a plan. I want to do a Guns N' Roses tribute band and call it Chinese Democracy, and we get booked around the world, but we don't show up for 10 years.
Who was the guy in black who looked like Axl Rose at the end?
That
was
Brian.
Dave?
No,
it was
I
Dave.
think you're talking about
Dave Anthony.
Dave Anthony, our drummer Dave.
Yeah, drummer Dave.
And he's back in. I think he lives in
Delaware.
Georgia. No,
Georgia.
He lives
Now
in Georgia.
Yeah.
A lot like Axl.
Yeah, that looked going pretty good. Yeah, no, he was great. Dave is a sweet guy.
Yeah,
Very
sweet guy, great drummer.
He was very good.
Yeah,
way better too good for us. But but he was great. But I just how you find that amusing that our guitar player is now in Boston. It's kind of an odd leap, but he's definitely good enough. Dave was really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, when we recorded Babes, that album, he showed up, and I was holding pieces of paper against the glass between the control room and the studio, with a key in it, like A, E, D, A, B, E, A, and he's playing leads to that. And you hear it; it sounds great. That's how good he was back then. So he's really, really cool. I just thought you would find that amusing. You know, that
Yeah,
something like that happened.
his solo album was. I don't know if he's had more than. I think he's had more than one, but
Oh yeah, he's made lots of records under David under
he's good.
Velocity.
He looks good as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he takes care of himself. You know, he's a professional dude.
So how is he about 50?
I think he's a little bit older than me, and I just turned 50. So I think he might be 51 or something like that. But he looks good. He's good.
Yeah, he does.
You know, he takes care of
Better
himself.
living through chemistry.
Exactly. Anyways, listen, I hate to say this, Kelv. It's good to hear your voice, man.
Yeah,
I'll talk to you again
I'll
soon.
be back.
And
Well, you'll be back.
we'll be back. And I'm gonna now.
I'll be back.
I'm gonna go sit in traffic for about an hour. Okay.
Can I do that?
Nice to see you. And Brian, always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on the show. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to. I quickly want to play a track by Shay Roxy, and then Calv, I want to chat for a moment, at least talk about your label and get some of that info out there. We're going to quickly, the title of the song, it came over as track 1, and it's So this.
I track 1.
Yeah, that's what it. Track 1.
Oh, great.
It's not I Got What You Want, so it's the other one.
Is it Angel?
I don't know.
Oh no, it's
Well, you know what? By
Fistful
the time
of Heat. It's Fistful of Heat.
All right, this is Fistful of Heat, which sounds like something from
It's a Van Stevenson song. I don't know if you know who he is.
Oh yeah, Modern Day Delilah.
Yeah,
Totally.
Fistful of Heat
He
sounds like
died.
a gay porn film. But
There you go.
ew.
Fistful of
He
Heat
says-
from
he
the
says that
AOR
it-
Boulevard Records album,
AOR Boulevard.
1988.
There you go. So check this track out. We'll be back in just a moment.
All right.
Branded by the wisdom of a two-faced town, we're being wrong, bitch, being out on the streets. My mama died young, left my old man with a son. He rocked my cradle with a fist full of heat. In my eyes, you see a little bit of every lover you've ever known. You're too fate if you think you're gonna take me home. 'Cause I'm a fist full of heat, fighting the danger zone. I'm a fist full of heat, fighting the danger zone. I don't wanna live in a prison of stone. I'll take my chances on this ship sand. If our future's uncertain, then so is your heart. No, we're never quite sure where we stand. In my eyes, I see a little bit of every lover you've ever known. You're tuned in fate if you think you're gonna take me home. 'Cause I'm a fist full of heat, fighting the danger zone. I'm a fist full of heat, fighting the danger zone. I'm a fist full of heat, fighting the danger zone. Looking for some kind of salvation. Feel the hounds at your feet. And if there is your destination, would you trade it for a fistful of heat?
right, it is time for another episode of Drinks at Sunset with
The Wise Guys.
I'm J. Anthony McCarthy.
I'm Steve Sabo.
We are two men of a certain age trying to make it as actors in this town known as Los Angeles, Hollywood, the entertainment capital of the world.
Yes, indeedy.
Unless you happen to be from India, in which case you would argue that Bollywood definitely is. You know,
Yes,
so,
right. But speaking of Drinks at Sunset with the Wise Guys.
Yes.
We play characters in a series called The Wise Guys, and then also we pick the winners with The Wise Guys. What is your character?
I'm Big Paulie.
You're Big Paulie?
I'm Big Paulie, yeah. And you are...
I'm Vinny 2 times.
Right. Mhm.
So just so you know, that's where the Drinks at Sunset with the Wise Guys come from, because we are the Wise Guys when we play our characters.
Right.
So he's Big Paulie, I'm Vinny 2 times. And every now and then we get visited by him, don't we?
Yes, we do. Once in
Okay.
a while they stop by, and usually to talk about sports and things like that. The Drinks at Sunset, I think, is clever because we're not actually drinking at sunset time-wise. We're drinking at Sunset Boulevard,
Yeah.
that's just, one of those perks of being in this
Speaking of
town.
drinking, what are you
Yes.
drinking?
I'm having my typical bourbon and ginger. What's my bourbon today? Is it Mist?
It's the Mist.
Canadian Mist.
Canadian
Very smooth.
Mist, yes.
Canadian Mist and Canada Dry Ginger Ale.
Oh,
So.
this time it's Schweppes.
Oh, is it Schweppes?
Yes.
I like Schweppes better, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. And of course, I have my old standby Oak Heart Spice Rum by Bacardi
Mm-hmm.
and Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. Why are we telling you all that? Are we sponsored by these people? No.
Not yet. We
no.
would love to be.
Yeah. We're just enjoying the fact that we're, having drinks, talking to you about our lives, and want you to know what we're doing, and just in case you want to join us,
There you go.
Now, you can always find us at Excite Radio. What?
It's 10 o'clock,
Oh, okay. Excite Radio, Thursday nights at 10 p.m.
which is, I believe, when you're listening to us right now,
Yeah, yeah.
unless you're on one of our affiliates or satellites or what's the S word?
I don't know. Syndicates?
Syndicates. That's
Yeah,
it. One of our syndicates.
can't
Maybe a
read your
different,
mind, so.
maybe a different day and time. You just did,
Yes, I
Big
did,
Polly. You
apparently.
did a good job.
Thank you.
And it might be a different day and time, but definitely welcome aboard. We're happy to have you.
Yeah.
And as always, we welcome any type of feedback, questions, comments, good and bad, because we will respond to all.
Yep.
And you can see our videos that we've done, because we are producers. We do
Right.
produce videos for the internet.
Right.
TheWiseGuys.net, TheWiseGuys.net. You want to check us out. And also
if you
check.
want to talk to us and let us know if that you're listening to us and that you hated it, you loved it, there's something you want to ask, or there's just something you want to comment on, you can always reach us at our email address, sswiseguys@aol.com. That's 2 S's followed by wiseguys, plural, at aol.com.
Yes, indeed.
And then, of course,
And we got our YouTube channel at The Wise Guys TV, The Wise Guys TV, as well as our Twitter handle, The Wise Guys TV. So, also, we made an executive decision that in the future we're going to start bringing in some guests, some of our associates.
some of our actor friends, or not just actor friends, creative friends, some of the people who have produced, directed, written for stage, screen, television, all of that stuff.
Or people we've actually worked with,
Right, exactly.
acted with, produced with, written with, and so on. So we'll try to get some more voices here and try to make it more entertaining than it already is.
Well, more across the board, give you an idea
Yeah.
of what happens out here. And again, I want you to remember, we're talking about the idea of becoming actors out in Los Angeles. Both of us are not spring chickens, and both of us have had some success, but we haven't had that big breakout role, that big success. Will we ever? It's possible.
Yes,
it's possible
it is.
we won't. But we want you to know, we're telling you about this because we're just finding it interesting to do that. Anytime we start talking about a subject, it's not, we want you to remember, we understand that the problems we have generally are first world problems. We're not sitting here bitching and moaning about the fact, oh, people don't respect us. Oh, we didn't get that part. Meh, 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 meh.
Well, I
That's
do
just-
that in private. but
Well,
other than that-
and I do that in private too, but that's not what we're doing here on the show.
No,
we're
no.
we're actually telling you about what's going on here, and of course, sometimes it can be very discouraging. Sometimes it can be very encouraging, depending upon
yeah, you've
what
had
has happened.
a little bit of both this year.
Yep, I've had some
Very
great
encouraging
moments.
stuff,
Yeah,
yes. Mm-hmm.
And just hoping some things will move forward from there. So
And as always, we watch sports while we do the show.
Right.
I got a tape delay of a hockey game that I taped because I don't want to watch what's on NFL Channel.
Right.
it's the rehash of the Super Bowl 1992, where the Dallas Cowboys just destroyed
Dismantled, yeah.
destroyed my Buffalo Bills at the Super Bowl, and I was actually at that game. And if we have some time, I'll tell you a story about that.
Oh, okay.
How I got my tickets.
Well, I don't see why you couldn't tell it right now, since you've already teased it. Or unless
you
want it.
The whole point of the tease is letting it settle.
You want it to settle?
Let
Okay.
it boil up. Let it moisturize.
We'll come back to that story later,
massage.
since
I mean,
he's not really sure if he should tell
simmer.
it or
I think
not
that's
right
the
now.
word I was looking for. Simmer.
We'll come back. We'll circle back around to that at some point
There
in
you
time.
go. Put a pin in that.
Yeah. So how was your week go leading up to this? How you
I'd
know,
rather
what-
talk about how I got my Super Bowl ticket.
Well then.
Now that you asked.
Yeah, okay.
My week was okay. It's a typical week. I went and got something here. I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
You can announce to the public what I'm holding in my hands right here.
For those of you who can't see us on the radio or on your computer screen because we're not taking video, he's holding up a pedometer. He's actually got a great little digital pedometer that he picked up that he obviously is going to start wearing and figure out just how much distance he's traveling while he walks around through the neighborhoods and does his job for
Vortex Door Company.
Yes.
And I have to go in because a lot of the people I talk to are business owners or people working at the businesses are Latino. So I go Vortex. Because they always enter when I walk in, they go hola, and I go how you doing, and then they realize I don't speak Spanish, right? I go hola, cómo está, you know,
Yeah.
and unfortunately that's all I know. So that's why I don't respond that way because then they'll start speaking to me in Spanish, like oh you know because when I went to Mexico. I did that when I was on vacation. I went to Cancun, and I go hola, and they go hola, and then they start talking to me like because I must say it so wonderfully, like I've done it all my life.
You don't have an accent at all.
Yeah, right. But I'll go "Cómo está?" and they all say, "Oh, you speak Spanish," and I'm like, "No, I don't. That's all I know."
You're like that classic joke from Family Guy when Brian and Stewie were trying to find Brian's mother.
Birds.
Yes.
No, okay,
No,
go ahead.
they get in the back of the truck and the guy says actually you wanted to say como está because this is not correct. That's all the English I know up to this point right here, including the last words I'm saying. And he goes, really? He goes, ¿qué? It's like the guy had learned one rote phrase apparently
right.
that fit perfectly for the plot of the show.
There you go.
Of course, I misquoted it terribly. Anybody who happens to be listening and likes the show knows how badly I